І ми знову повернулися. Як я
Hi.
казав,
Hi,
Hi,
Bibi.
трошки контенту українською.
Let us 1 minute to introduce you in Ukrainian, and then we'll move to English.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Да, я трошки поговорю українською, бо як Владу буде важко говорити українською, так мені дуже смішно буде говорити англійською. Я хочу ще подякувати нашим друзям, які донатять нам гроші на не нам донатять гроші, а донатять гроші на авто для Збройних сил України. У нас вже 11 тисяч 2 гривнічки. Дякуємо вам. Тому, якщо ви ще дивитесь наш стрім, то, будь ласка, якщо у вас є така можливість, 5, 10, 20 гривень буде великою допомогою. Кожна копійка, вона має значення. Детальні звіти по всім машинам, по всім чекам, по статусам, по машинам ви можете знайти в Фейсбуці, в профілі Олександра Лушина. Лінк в описі під цим відео. Все, я передаю слово Олегу, він представить нашого іноземного спікера з Голландії, Bibi Raven. Let's go.
Hi.
Yes. Hi, Bibi. Let me introduce you a little bit. I know that you are from Holland, and I know that you are a link builder at Bibi Raven. Or BibiBuzz, I'm sorry. Am I right?
Actually, it's Bibi the link builder, but it's totally fine. I don't care.
Bibi's report would be about how to make cold outreach a little bit warmer and about personality in outreach. Okay, yeah. I give floor to Bibi. Continue, please.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to try and share my screen. I hope I don't break the system. I click the share button and then wait, share screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Entire screen. I think we're going to get like an infinity thing now.
Let me edit the screen.
And then I'm going to go to my slides here. Okay. Do you see this correctly?
Yeah, we see this correctly.
Okay. So
great.
First things first, I really suck at presentations. I'm so sorry. I'm really, really bad because the technology is always failing me. So, if my camera falls off or you can't hear me, just let me know because I'm really, really, really bad at this. But I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation so much. You'll regret it. Anyway, let's get started. So the topic of today is link building. Everybody hates link building, but with a little bit of personality. And I'm going to give you some tips to make your cold outreach a little less cold. Because a lot of link building is done with outreach. You can also build links without outreach. You can earn them passively. I would definitely follow Stacy McNaught for this because she's the wizard on that. But anyway, a lot of link building is based on outreach and a lot of it is based on cold outreach. And so many link builders are sending hundreds of thousands of emails every day that prospects are just absolutely tired of it. So how can you stand out in the inbox and bring a little bit of warmth in the conversation without having to build an entire relationship with somebody? So I hope I'm going to help you do that. Who am I? I'm Bibi the Link Builder. I'm the founder of BibiBuzz. I started a company. It's an agency, a link building agency. I started it around, I think about 5 years ago or something. I have 4 teams, 30 people in total. We're in Florida, Spain, and the Philippines, and the Netherlands. Well, actually Amsterdam, that's where I am. And I serve clients worldwide, mainly the English-speaking countries. So what I wanted to do, because I really think presentations are often really freaking boring. So I wanted to try to actually use a real example for link building and show you how I would do it. And that's a little bit risky because I haven't really practiced it. So I don't know if this is going to end well. But yeah, you can see how stupid I am at the beginning of a project. So it's totally cool. Anyway, so these are usually my link building steps. A lot of my link building is based on guest post outreach. So I pitch articles to sites, and when they accept that article, they publish it on their site, and in that article is a link. I also build links in other ways, like resource link building, and I also earn links passively. But I think the thing that I'm most comfortable with is the guest post outreach. But you can apply all this stuff to other types of outreach as well. So here are my link building steps. The first step is actually the most important step. But we're going to skip that one now because it's kind of boring. It has to do with your project. So do you have content that is easy to link to? What are your target pages? What is your goal with link building? A lot of people lose sight of their goal while they're doing link building. But I'm going to skip all that stuff because I mainly want to focus on the outreach. So step 2 is prospecting. You're going to find suitable link prospects, so sites you want to reach out to. Then step 3 is inspect and personalize, where you look at the sites and determine if they're good link prospects, and then you personalize them. You add some personal details. Step 4 is content ideation. That's for guest posts mainly, but you can also apply it to linkable assets. It's where you think about what kind of content would that prospect help to sell and engage with their audience or sell to their project. We set up like a couple of campaigns, and for every campaign we create a different template. So the best way to do cold outreach is actually to write a unique email for every prospect. That's what you call bespoke email. But it's really, it takes a lot of headspace to write a bespoke email. When I train somebody on link building, they always start with bespoke because it teaches you a lot about prospects, but it also teaches you a lot about how to create a good template. And also because with bespoke email, the conversion is really high. It could be like 80%. If you're really able to connect with the person at the other end and show them that you're interested in them and them alone. That's what a bespoke email is about. But we use templates because, you want to scale. You don't always have the time or headspace to write a complete bespoke email. But I'll show you how to create templates that are a little bit warmer and less generic than other templates. After you reach out, there's the rest, which is also boring. It's just inbox management and, having, if somebody accepts the pitch, then you have to, of course, write the article and all that stuff. But we're going to skip that. Okay, so I wanted to work on a real example. I'm really nervous about it because I've never done this for a live audience. And what I wanted to use as an audience is an organization called Fulcrum UA. They're an organization for LGBTQI plus rights. And it's one of the vulnerable groups right now in Ukraine, especially with the non-gay friendly Russians coming in. So yeah, I wanted to use it as an example because it's close to my heart. BB show site. It's great because I have like little reminders what I need to do. This is the site, Fulcrum. So normally, of course, when you start link building, you have to audit your site, right? And you have to look at your competitors and all that stuff. You have to audit your site to see if there's content on there that's easy to link to. If there's no content on there that's easy to link to, then you need to create that content. But we're going to skip that right now. We're just going to assume that there maybe are some publications in here that are good for link building. Yeah. So let's go back. Okay. Oh, it worked. Okay. So at the basis of my outreach is segmenting and theming. And it's nothing new. It's used a lot in email marketing. It means simply that you segment your lists of prospects according to interests or other specifics they share, maybe demographics or whatever. And theming means that you tailor your templates accordingly. So you don't just reach out to everybody talking about baking bread, but you reach out to very specific people. Maybe there are baking companies or companies that sell, I don't know, candy or something like that. And then you theme your email accordingly. So you make sure that email is only meant for that segment. But I'll show you how to do that later. So you write templated emails that create a connection with the receiver. We don't have to build relationships. A lot of people talk about relationships, which of course is the best way to get links. But you might not have the time to build a relationship. So then you want to create an instant connection. And I don't know who talks about all this stuff. So maybe somebody famous. Okay. We skipped phase 1, which was all the project stuff. And we're going ahead to prospecting. But of course, you have to keep your project parameters in mind. You're not going to reach out to the wrong people. So what I always tell my team is to decide on some prospecting angles, because often people just focus on one type of angle. A prospecting angle is how you find your prospects. So a lot of people focus on finding prospects that rank on relevant keywords, which is totally cool because getting links from those sites can have a huge impact on your rankings. However, all your competitors are doing the same thing and those people are getting outreach all the time. So in addition, it helps to find other prospecting angles, because then you can go into corners where your competition isn't. Here's some more examples. So we had the relevant keywords. The other thing is, look for sites that have an audience in an adjacent customer journey or a parallel customer journey. So for instance, if your audience are gamers, then you might want to reach out to VPN sites, because gamers might also be interested in getting a VPN, right? Or if you sell showers in bathrooms, you might want to reach out to construction companies or cleaning companies, because they have an audience that is in a similar customer journey. Somebody looking to install a new shower might also be interested in buying cleaning supplies or hiring contractors to do the shower thing. And the last thing, so this is not this is not the complete list. There are thousands ways to find prospects. One of the great ways is something that Ahrefs calls, Samo calls seed prospects. So you should definitely Google that. But one of the third angles that I like to choose is correlated interest. When you have an audience and they like a specific thing, so for instance, that they like gardening, often there's an interest that correlates with people that like gardening. So 80% of people that like gardening are also interested in sustainability. Stuff like that. It's a little bit similar as the adjacent customer journey, but also a little bit different. So think about something, sites that share the same audience, because the interests are correlated with the interests of your audience. All right, Bibi, go to Google. Why are we going to Google? Oh yeah, no, we're going to Pitchbox. That's a tool that I use for prospecting. So I manage a lot of projects, and you really need a very solid system to that has a really good workflow to be able to do all this stuff. With 30 people, I can't do this all in Gmail or whatever. So I use Pitchbox, and let's look at the site. So was it this one, right? Fulcrum. And I'm going to think about these prospecting angles. So one thing that immediately jumps out to me is military and veterans. So I could, for instance, as a prospecting angle, look for sites that talk about veterans and then reach out to them and try to get a link from them to this site. It could be veterans in Ukraine, could be veterans in Europe, or even broader than that. Another thing that you could do is think about keywords that are very related. So here is human rights. That's related to gay rights. But if you look through the results, you can see now there are Dutch results, but there's also stuff like Wikipedia. So you're going to get really big sites that rank for this keyword, but they might not be the sites that you want. Actually, they are. But let's say you're also finding a lot of sites that are not so niche deep on human rights, then you can always try to look for, let me see. I'm going to try and look for a keyword that goes more deeper into the site. So here I see United Nations to talk about human rights. And I see something here that's called Human Rights Day. So maybe if I look for this keyword, Human Rights Day, and then I put in tips, how to, and guides, I always like to add these informational keywords, because then I find sites that are ranking on a topic plus some informational keywords. So they're not very broad, they're very niche deep. I don't know how to explain that, but when I look through it, I can see that all these sites, UN, human rights careers, are very focused on human rights. So once you have a list of these keywords, you could go into Pitchbox and you click Advanced Operator Search. And I'm going to do Fulcrum and then human rights. I'm going to give it a 2. And I could put in this human rights day tip how to guide, right? Then it's going to give me a warning, but I always ignore that. And I want to add some more keywords. So if you think about, you can think about keywords, but you can also think about, in this instance, it's a little bit weird to think about adjacent customer journey, but you could say that human rights lawyers or lawyers could be also interested in something about gay rights. But how do you find these lawyers, right? So if I just do human rights lawyers, I am finding some human rights lawyers, and that's great. So I could use this as a keyword in Pitchbox. I'll copy it here and I'll put it in here. But what if I really want to have the lawyer companies themselves, right? So what I do then is that I first make it a little bit more local. I'm not going to do Ukraine because I don't know the words there. So I'm just going to do New York, for instance. And now I'm going to find all these, they call it civil rights lawyers, all these lawyers in New York. And what I'm looking for, I'm not looking for necessarily this keyword, although I could use it to find them. But I'm looking for footprints that all these lawyers have in common. So let me see. I'm opening a couple of them up. And then I'm going to find what is something that they all have similar. What is a page that they all have similar? So they have our cases, practice areas, our people, our firm, contact us, schedule a free consultation. Right. Then this one has, let me see, our team, about the firm. So they have something with firm, right? And I saw that here as well. Firm. So something that makes an actual lawyer different from a site that just talks about lawyers could be firm. It doesn't apply for all of them, but let's add that as a keyword. So I would do human rights lawyer instead of lawyers, because I actually want to find the lawyers themselves. Now I can use this keyword and add that here. So now I can find these. This is a little bit mixed because it's also sites that talk about human rights. So I would segment this more. It would just be the lawyers or just be human rights. But now you can just start prospecting. So Pitchbox does the prospecting for me, and then I use a quality filter to show what kind of filters I want to set. Because you might have some criteria judging according to your project parameters. How much DR you want and all that stuff. So I would hit next, but that would take too much time right now. So I'll go back to the one that I already did. And this here, I only used one keyword. I think I only used human rights, which is a very broad keyword. I would normally go a little bit niche deeper. But it did come up with some good sites. Okay, so let's go to the next phase. Ooh, inspect and personalize. So now that you've done the prospecting, and you don't have to do this in Pitchbox, you can also do it in Google. It's time to vet your prospects. So you have to judge if they're suitable or not. I know a lot of people, they just go by metrics and then they just reach out, but I don't like to do that. I want my team to manually check each prospect. So, but I do, I do split the judging in 2 phases. One phase happens before outreach. So it's an eyeball test. We just look at the sites and then we reach out to them. And the other phase of vetting is after the replies come back. So you reach out to the site, they come back with a reply, and then you start looking at them a little bit deeper. But things that we do in eyeball test, for instance, is that we look if a site is neglected, if it's clearly a link seller, this of course depends on whether or not you want to buy links or not. We often don't like to buy links. And if a site makes you think too long or research too long, just delete it. So I'll show you how I do that. I hope I'm not already running way too long with this, but anyway. Okay, so I'm going to go back, and here we're in the inspect phase, and you have the personalized phase, and then the compose phase. And I didn't do a quality filter, so you could, if you have some DR filters, you could use them. But yeah, so you could do this inside of Pitchbox like this. But you can also just open it up. I always like to open it up. And then what I'm looking for is if the site looks neglected, if it looks like a real site, if they're obviously selling links. I don't mind buying links, but I don't like a site that's very obviously selling links, because that means that they get a lot of paid links, and other people might be blasting that site with second-tier spammy links. And that's not, and that could work, but I don't want to risk somebody else's company on that. So that's something I avoid for clients for sure. So this site looks really legit to me. And then one thing that we always check is, let's say, in the about section and in the contact section, whether or not they explicitly refuse guest post if we're doing guest post. Because if they say something about, hey, don't contact us about guest post, then yeah, you delete them from the prospect list. So I'm doing this search because, oh my God, I'm trying to find the contact page anyway. Yeah. Wait, is it here? Okay, let's skip that. But let's look at how it shows up in Pitchbox. So we would say this one is a good one. And we move to personalization. And then here you hit personalize and you start personalizing. I'm not gonna explain how personalizing works. I'm just real quick. We do check on the site who is the best person to reach out to. So it's usually the editor-in-chief or an editor or the content manager or the marketing manager. And then if we really can't find specific emails, then we will reach out to info or something. And we always try to use a first name because that does really help with link building. So we would fix all this and we reach out to a maximum of 3 people. And then here is the site name, and that you need to check as well, because if you use the wrong brand name or if it's really long, it's going to look very weird in your template, because these are fields that we'll be using in a template. All right, so that's inspecting and personalizing. Let me see. Okay, content ideation. So when you pitch a guest post, you have to come up with ideas for that person's site. And here's the hard part. You have to find something that will help their goals. Maybe they want to engage with their audience or they want to sell something to them. But it also has to somehow tie into your target page. And here's a little bit of an issue if you do unpaid links. When you do unpaid links, you're pitching like a writer. You're not pitching like a link builder or a sponsor or an advertiser. So you don't have that much demands. You cannot say, oh, I want my link to this product page, right? Or I want it all to be about my product. So you have to find the subtle balance between meeting their needs, but also meeting your needs. So it might mean that the article that you eventually write is not directly about you or your product, but it's a bridge in relevancy, and somewhere inside that article it's going to link out to your target page. Oh, how do I get back? Oh, I'm back. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we do content ideation, and there are a couple of ways to get inspired for this. So you could simply look at the prospect's content. You could use the Ahrefs Content Explorer, which is a hugely underused and undervalued feature of Ahrefs, but it's my whole link building is based on the Content Explorer. And you can look at industry trends. So let's take another type of prospect as an example. We're not doing human rights, we're going to look at relationships, because relationships also have to do with gay rights, right? So we're going to say relationships tips, how to guide, because that's going to give me very relevant sites that help with tips about relationships. Let me see. So here we have Tony Robbins, the Every Girl. I also see a lot of non-relevant things. Well, Mark Manson. So I actually want to go a little bit deeper. So I'm going to go how to make a long distance relationship work. This is just a little bit of prospecting to come up with more relationships based. Psychology Today could be cool. Get lasting. Okay. So let's assume that these sites are all focused on relationships. Yeah, let's take this one because it's really focused. Couples coaching. So let's say this is a prospect site for the gay rights because it's about relationships and that's relevant for our target page. So here you can already see that they talk about coaching. Here, build trust in your relationship. So this would be, here's my swipe file. So I always make a swipe file and build trust in a relationship. This could be a topic. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to feed it back into Google. And what I'd like to do is I like to open a page that is a very complete guide about how to build trust in a relationship. And then I go deeper into that topic, because then I can find niche deep topics that are even more interesting. So for instance, here, promote positivity. So another headline would be how to promote positivity in a long distance relationship, right? Let me see, where was it now? Oh, here. So intimacy and sex issues. So here you can already see these are all different aspects. The problem here is that when you start diving into the niche, you sometimes forget that you need to be relevant to the target page. So somehow these articles that you would create would have to tie into gay rights and all that stuff. So you have to find the middle ground here. So you could, for instance, do anxiety, how to deal with anxiety in and low desire when you're stressed. This is really the worst headline I ever created, but I'm kind of feeling under pressure. So I would probably make this a better headline. So I would probably feed it back into Google. Okay, so how to treat low libido from anxiety. So I could talk about 7 ways that can help you be interested in sex again if you have anxiety or something like that. And then if the site would accept that pitch, we would write the article, and then in there there would be a paragraph about how some types of relationships are even under more stress than others. And that could link into the organization somehow if they have a piece that talks about how gay couples are more stressed than straight couples, or for instance, stuff like that. So that's one thing. You look at the prospects and look at what they talk about. The other way that you can use, you come up with content is using the Content Explorer of Ahrefs. So what I really like to do here is, for instance, you can do something like gay rights or something. And the Content Explorer will analyze which content works really well, but you have to add some filters. So it's going to show me all this content, and I want to add some filters. You can filter out on referring domains. So what kind of stuff is getting a lot of referring domains? And you can also look at stuff that's getting a lot of traffic. So why didn't gay rights cure gay loneliness? Again, that's another great topic. Not necessarily about gay rights curing something, but you could talk about gay loneliness, how to cope with gay loneliness in a pandemic or something like that. You can also add filters around website traffic, and one of my favorite filters is this one, social shares, and then the Pinterest shares. So at one point, this is a cool story, Ahrefs took this out, and I complained so much that they put it back in, which is awesome. But anyway, if I filter gay rights, I filter on social shares. This is only 1,000. I would normally do way more because Pinterest, a lot of stuff gets repinned a lot. But here you can see what kind of stuff gets pinned a lot. So that will give you an idea for more content ideation for guest posts, for link prospects that are very niche deep in a certain topic without you being an expert. Let me see. And the third one was industry trends. So you could, like with human rights, it's a little bit hard, but let's say I'm going to use another example. Let's say travel trends 2022. So you have, wait, this is all Dutch. So I'm going to do .com. Right. Oh, okay, here we go. Exploding topics, pure wow. Okay. So here, I'll scroll through. Okay, travelers go it alone. So this already gives me a great idea for a headline. Travelers go it alone. Why no one travels together? Oops. Together anymore. And yeah, so you can take each trend that you see and base a headline on it, or you could just take one of those trends, then feed it back into Google, and then all these headlines that you see popping up, you can base your headline on it. So I could say, going it alone, 7 tips for solo travel in 2023 or something like that, right? So that's another way to come up with a lot of content. But then, of course, you have to try and make it relevant to your target page. Okay, I'm not sure how long. Am I talking too long already? No idea. Anyway, yeah. So it's important that you do this content ideation before you create a template. And why is it important? Because a lot of times when you reach out to new topics or new sites that are around a specific topic, you don't know that much about it. So spending an hour on content ideation to come up with 30 headlines or 20 is a really great way to bluff yourself through a topic. So, and then while you're looking for content, you can note a lot of things that you notice in a swipe file. So I was making this swipe file, and you could, for instance, note down stats and trends from the industry, or certain words that they use, or quotes by famous industry leaders, or even jokes. So a lot of my templates, they work really well because I use jokes in them, but I don't use generic jokes in them. I use jokes that are themed towards the email segment. So let's say we're looking for relationship sites, then I would look for relationship puns and use those in the email, but I'll show you in a second. And then also pains and needs. Okay, so those are stats and trends, jargon, quotes, puns, pains and needs. Let me go to, yeah. So this is what I typically do for an outreach template. Let's say we're talking about relationships, right? So I would do relationship puns, something like that. And then you can see all these jokes, but they're Your better help, your tango. This is already giving me ideas for more angles as well. So for instance, online therapist could be a great angle for fulcrum. Here. So you've stolen a pizza, my heart. This is a great joke. I'm just going to put it in here. This could be subject line of an email, right? You have to be careful because if you're a man, you cannot use this as a subject line. If you're a woman, you can use this as a subject line because then it's not creepy. Okay. So there could be more jokes in here. Let's get the check. Okay, I'm gonna let you finish. Okay, so here's another trick that I do. And you don't have to do this jokey thing. You can be really serious if you want. But I noticed that the jokey thing works pretty well. So you could do subject line. I'm gonna let you finish. And then when the email opens, so this would be the body, it says, "But I love you a lotka." And then you go, "Hi, first name," and there comes the rest of your email. Now, in a swipe file, I would usually get a lot of inspiration first, and my swipe file would be 2 pages long with all kinds of things from the niche. But right now, because for time's sake, I'm trying to create this email on the spot, which is really hard. But anyway, so you need an intro, right? So what you can do then is you can just look at relationship blog or best relationship blog or something. And I'm trying to find sites where I can base my intro on something that they wrote. So maybe this one, nurturing marriage, living the sweet wife. All these all making me a little nauseous, to be honest. Okay. Okay, so I already saw something here. Walking on eggshells. This is great because I could use it in my email. We've all been walking perhaps on eggshells. Eggshells these past, what is it, 2 years or something? But this gives me an idea for an intro, and then I would expand on that. But I would definitely do some more research. So I could also do relationship quotes. Let's see. Opening up. The best and the most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even heard, but must be felt with the heart. So I could use this quote. Let's see if it's color. Ah, yeah, here we go. I can use this quote in the email. Oops. Why is it not typing? Oh, yeah. But we've all been walking on eggshells these past years, but the best and most beautiful in the world cannot be seen or even heard, but must be felt with the heart. And then I could bridge now. I could segue into the pitch. So I could say, I think these topics could help your audience find their way back to their heart again or something. It's not the best. It's kind of making me barf, but I hope you can see how I use all these different inspirations to create an email that's very targeted at relationship experts. So here I would do these 3 pitches that I came up with content ideation, and then you can do some kind of sentence about happy to send you a draft or something. And then as a sign off, again, you can use something that's really specific to relationship relationship experts, couples therapy, email sign off. Now I'm cheating. How therapist signs emails, breaking up with your therapist. Oh, that's funny. No, this is not really helpful. Okay, so I would probably look through these puns again, or I would look through my giant swipe file to find a way that is not creepy, but it is very oh, here, keep your time together light and fun. So you could say to a life, to a day filled with light and fun, and then you do your name, right? I know it's nauseating, but it's very targeted to relationship experts. You could also make a more serious email where you talk about industry trends or stats or other stuff. But I also like to make it a little bit more warm and playful because people get so much corporate sounding email every day. If you do something that engages them and entertains them and is kind of like a light in a very boring and dark day, they might be more inclined to working with you. All right, I think. Oh yeah, the pains and needs. Yeah, I don't know if we have time, but oh shit, how do I go back? Oh, here we go. Oh, sorry for swearing. Anyway, pains and needs. Yeah, that's one last thing. Is sometimes you don't have to talk about stats and trends and puns and all that stuff. But you can think about what is something that these types of prospects all have issues with. So I'll give you an example. One of my clients is a computer brand and they sell printers. And we were focusing on graphic designers because they use a lot of printers, I guess. Now I'm starting to doubt it, but anyway, it worked pretty well. But then I understood that graphic designers, a lot of problems they have with their clients is that they change the design at the last minute. They go like, "Oh, we really love your design, but could you change the font and could you change this? Oh, and could you make it more like Apple? And can you let me know on Wednesday or can you show it to me on Wednesday?" So I actually used that as an intro to an email. So the subject line was, I really like your design, but, and then the person opened the email and then I said everything that the client would say. And then I went into the pains that they have as a graphic designer, which really broke the ice. It was a really great way to get into their inbox, also because it was clear that I understood where they were coming from. Yeah, so that's the pains and needs. I think that's it. I had one more bonus thing, but I don't know if we have enough time. Do we have enough time? Hello? Am I still in the StreamYard? Oh yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah,
Oh,
yes, Bibi, you're in the stream yet? Yes, we have some time.
I have some time? Okay. Was it boring or because I don't know?
No, I was reading questions in chat, so
Okay,
I
cool,
tried.
cool. Oh yeah.
Yes, we have, I think 10-15 minutes we have.
Okay, I'll this will only take like 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm still sharing my screen. Okay, back to Ahrefs. So I was talking about how to do cold outreach and how to segment your email lists and how to theme your templates accordingly. But that's all about building links through outreach. But you can also have a lot of success with creating assets that attract links. This only will work if your domain is strong enough or if you run ads for those pieces. But it can also work if you just build a couple links to the pieces and then they get boosted. But I'll show you an example of how to do that. So you go back to the Content Explorer. And let me see. Yeah, so this one is a good one. So these are all words that don't talk about a specific topic, but I talk about a type of content or a type of question. And I really like this. So you take this one, how many, for instance, and this is for a linkable asset, right? So you're in the Content Explorer, you put in how many, and then you add a filter because you want to only see stuff that gets a lot of links. So let's say 1,000 or something. You could also put some more filters in, for instance, traffic. So I only want to see stuff that gets about 5,000 traffic for a specific page. And then you do show results. Wait, why is this still gay, right? How many? Oh yeah, here we go. So now I can see across a lot of different industries content around these words, how many, that get a lot of links and have a lot of traffic, and you can even add social shares or whatever. So for instance, school shootings, don't want to do that. How many calories? Okay. And this is one I found this way, and I really love this site. I always show it to people. It's just called how many people are in space right now.com. It has 2,500 referring domains. It gets about 13K of traffic. I know it actually gets way more because I've reached out to the owners of this site. Let me open this up. So the only thing that this page does is tell you how many people are in space right now. And I think today is a really great day to show this because of the James Webb thing and, you know, the new pictures of the universe. But apparently there are 10 people in space right now. Yeah, and these are the people, and that's it. So this is a great way to reverse engineer what seems to be working really well as a linkable asset. So yeah, think about what kind of words would indicate a specific type of content. So I had how much, how long, how fast, how small, how many, when, why, who, which, where, the most. And this is one of the client of mine came up with, the worst. Yeah, just play around with all these words that don't talk about a specific topic, but show a specific type of content. And you'll find some really good gems in there. All right, that's really it, I think. And we can do questions now, right? Oh, I have to stop sharing my screen. Wait. Oh, it happened already. I can't hear you. Are you muted?
Yes,
Yeah.
I was muted. Bibi, thanks you for your report. It was really interesting. We have some questions, but first of all, I'd like to ask you, how much time do you usually spend on preparing one email, for example?
So I use email templates, right? So it's not bespoke email, it's email templates. It takes between 1 and 4 hours.
Okay, thank you. Let's start with questions from our audience. How much words do you usually use in the articles for guest posts or outreach?
Oh, that's a really good question. So we usually go by 1,000 words, between 1,000 and 1,500 words. But when the guest post is agreed, we always check what their guidelines are, or we talk with the prospect because some have lower word count or bigger word count. So whatever they want, we do it. But we use a really good writer agency, so
And
that's
how much links do you usually put in the articles? Link into your site, or do you use inner links or links to top websites, top articles?
yeah. So we usually use one client link, and then like 2 or 3 internal links for the prospect, and then I think 2 or 3 external links.
Okay, thank you, Bibi. What tools do you use in your daily routine besides Pitchbox or Ahrefs?
Google Sheets, and I use SEO Extractor for scraping sometimes for prospecting. But I think SEO Extractor stopped working. The developer told me yesterday that I should switch to SEO Minion. That's another tool that scrapes websites or scrapes online stuff.
Okay, thank you. Do you work only with free publications or with paid outreach too? And what's the
Right?
max price? Do you work usually with free outreach or guest posts or with paid outreach too?
Do you mean
What's
like
the
paid?
price?
Oh.
Sorry. What's the max price are you ready to pay for a post, for example?
Oh yeah. If a client wants it, we also do paid links. I'm not a fan because I feel like it's always kind of like a risk, but also because I get an ego boost from getting a free link. It's not really free, but but my business partner loves paid links, so he can do that stuff. I think our max is 200. Yeah, we pay 200 max. But we've also paid $20 or something.
Mm.
And we do eat those costs. So they're not at the cost of the client. We eat those. I actually don't know why. I think it has to do with that we like to negotiate and, not asking the client for later for that money.
Have you ever worked with Hero? H-A-R.
Oh, yeah.
And it works?
I've tried it so many times. The times I tried, it worked well. However, it's such a nightmare to have a good workflow for it. So I used the tool was Linkology, but they stopped. But there are other tools out there. I think Sorcery.io is a Haro link building tool, and Respona also has a Haro feature. So I'm gonna try those out. The only reason Haro stops me is because of the management stuff. I'm always looking for how to systemize things, how to delegate it, and I haven't been able to do that with Haro yet.
Do you use fake names in emails or your personal account?
Yeah, it depends on the client. Sometimes we use the client or somebody in their organization, but we often use fake personas.
Can you tell me some words about creating fake personas?
Yeah, it's so funny. Okay, so we used to use this person does not exist, right? But people look very fucked up. Can I swear? I
Yes.
don't know. Okay, people look very fucked up a lot of times, and you start to recognize all these this person does not exist people. So what I started doing is that you can find male personas, copyright-free pictures on Unsplash and all that stuff. You take those, then you buy an app called Face App. It's an app that Instagram influencers use to make themselves prettier. You can change the sex in the app, so you can go from male to female. So there's no way to trace it back to anything. And then you just give them hair, you give them makeup, you give them everything. They shouldn't look too pretty or too glamorous because nobody's gonna believe that, right? But I've created some really believable people. And the nice thing about it is when you use the male people, is that you can use the rest of their body. So usually with this person exists, you only have like this much of a face and sometimes not even the forehead. But by using those male copyright-free pictures, you end up with really up to here, right? So it looks and even like a wall behind it, or they have a hat on and stuff. So it looks very natural. That's the shadiest part, I think, of my link building.
Thank you, Bibi. Face App is interesting. I
Yeah.
didn't heard it about earlier. And that was the last question. Thank you so much for attending our conference. Thank you so much for the report. I'll check it one more time, I think, because it was a lot of interesting information for me.
Cool. I think I was talking fast. I'm sorry.
Everything's okay, Bibi. So bye-bye.
Thank you, Bibi.
Bye.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.